Hi there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While. It's the podcast where we dig into ideas and insights that help you to unleash what you were born to bring. I chat with heart-led experts and I ask the questions that I know you're thinking about, and we explore conversations that spark growth, that shift perspectives, and that will help you to show up fully in the world. And today we are exploring the concept of untaming your presence to expand your impact. And this conversation's worth your while because we cannot change the world from the same presence and thinking that created it. And if you are someone with a mission or a business, it's easy to think that it comes down to the right words, but it's really your presence that people feel and respond to. And in this incredibly chaotic time, it's the people who are willing to let their presence come forward in an untamed way that will not only make you feel vibrant and alive personally, but that will leave the legacy that only you can leave. So I'm your host, Linda Bucher. And if the life you are in no longer fits, this space is for you because through this podcast and in my coaching work, I guide impact driven humans like you to shed what no longer fits, to reconnect to your gifts, and to bring your life into alignment with who you are and what you want. Because when that happens, you unleash what you were born to bring and create meaningful, lasting impact in your work and relationships in the community and in the world. So if that sparks something within you, you can find me at lindabucher.com. Now, once again, today we are going to be talking about a beautiful topic, and I'm so excited about my guest. So we're going to be talking about untaming your presence to expand your impact. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Lauri Smith. Lauri is the CEO of Voice Matters and the host of the Untamed Leader podcast. And Lauri is, of course, making beautiful, positive ripples in her unique way as she helps change makers and disruptors and thought leaders to make the impact they are here to make. So welcome, Lauri.
Thank you so much, Linda. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. Can you tell us a little bit more about who you serve and what you do and these ripples that you're making in the world?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I love to work with people who are disrupting and seeing a vision for how the world could be better. I do that through speaking coaching for people who already would respond to the word thought leader. And I also help coach people to really birth their life's work into the world when that involves their voice in some way. So, podcasts, birthing the baby only they can bring into the world, podcasts, running programs so that they have the presence that can actually hold the room and feel the vibe in the room change, whether they're standing on a red carpet giving a talk or leading a 9-month program.
Beautiful. Very beautiful. So, okay. So, our talk is about untaming. So let's start with talking about what it feels like to be tamed and why people stay tamed, right? I mean, it feels safe. It feels safe to just stay in the known and who you believe you are, that you've been collecting, this identity for a long period of time. And I know I remember a point in my life where I realized I never stopped to ask myself, who am I and what do I want and where do I fit and what's right for me? And I was like 45 years old before I asked that. So it took a long time for me to ask this. And we are nervous, right? It doesn't feel safe to get out there and be visible in the world, does it?
No. And most people that we learn from consciously and unconsciously taught us to hold back, to dim our light. I was a little bit further than you in that, like, I was sort of half doing things. I did go to school and then I chose theater as my major with other minors. And like you, at around 32, I realized, oh, I'm living the life that I think other people want me to have and being the person that I think they want or need me to be, even though they haven't wanted or needed that in decades. And it can be, they say your issues are in your tissues. Sometimes, like I was, we might be making some choices that are the life we really want to live, but only halfway because I was physically holding myself down, holding my full power and full presence down.
Yeah, I had that same experience because it did physically manifest. I got to a point where my back and neck were so stiff. I would wake up like every 15 minutes because I was in pain. I couldn't sleep.
Mm.
And I'd be in meetings. I worked in the corporate world and I'd be in meetings and like about 6, 7 minutes in, I'm like, I can't sit anymore. My back is killing me. And then my gallbladder was only working at about 25% capacity. It couldn't digest things. And I gained like 20 pounds. And it was all the physical manifestation of the stress of going in the wrong direction when my inner GPS was yelling. That's the way it was yelling and screaming at me because, we're always in our head so much and our body has so much information and I wasn't listening. So it was like, okay, I'm going to get really noisy now to show you you are going in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had my own versions of moments like that, jaw tension to protect myself,
Hmm.
and then bands of headaches that would last like 15 days, not migraines,
Ooh,
but headaches that would start out like, that's not that bad. It's like a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. But when you get to day 15, you're like, is it a 2? Is it a 7? I can't really tell anymore
right.
because the body is screaming.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, but we, when I went through my coaching program through Martha Beck, we were taught that there's really two parts of ourselves. Well, there's a lot of things, but one of the ways to think of it is the two parts, the social self and the essential self. And our essential self is very attraction based, like it's drawn, we're like pulled in, like, ooh, right? It's spontaneous and it's playful. And it's where our gut instincts lead us, right? It's just that gut, that essential part of ourselves before we learned about who we're supposed to be. And when we're little
Mhm.
children, this essential self really rules everything. And that's why my little person would just like lay on the grass and look at the clouds, like, or would do whatever, not worry about what anybody thought. I didn't care. I was 3. But we're
Mhm.
taught that you can't, that's your GPS, but that's not your race car. That's not how you move through the world. You've got to develop your social self to move through the world. And our social self, there's nothing wrong with our social self at all. That's avoidance based. Like, okay, let's not attract bad attention or judgment or criticism. Let's make sure we conform. You got to do it the right way. It's the part of us that uses our brain. So our brain has the two functions. The one is, how do I do this, right? The good problem solving function, but it also has the stinking thinking function that has all those beliefs that we've been, collecting over the years that are keeping us small and safe in our little pockets. So we get out of balance. Now our social
Mhm.
self is ruling the world. Now we're a race car driving around with no GPS. So, my job as a coach is to help rebalance that. And of course, there's the somatic aspect of that as well, because that's where the essential self speaks to us through body and through dreams, which is interesting too. So
Mhm.
we get way out of balance, don't we? But the social self is keeping us so tamed, right?
Yeah, and to me it even feels like there's our essential self, our soul self, speaking to us through our energy, our dreams, our body. And what I want for people is that that part is deciding where we're going. What are we doing?
Yeah.
And then the ego or the left brain or the social self is helping to work for the soul to make it happen.
Yes.
And I also feel like there's a way of kind of over going into the social self where instead of meeting the world and dancing with the world, where we're being ourselves as we navigate the world. There's a way of losing ourselves and going purely over into what we think we should be doing based on messages from the past, based on shoulds that somebody said that actually never fit our essential self in the first place.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about untaming, right? Because I know it's scary, but there's, there's something that people don't realize. Like they're all, oh, I got to fix this about myself, right? I got to be better. So, uh, so they think it's about gaining and adding on, but really, that what we need to be doing is releasing identities that are not ours, things that we've been taught or ways we're supposed to behave instead of discovering our gut instincts and what's right for us. And so we've got to release, that part of us that's not us and come back home to who we truly are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And I was intuitively drawn to use the word untamed and I followed it. And some of the things that I love about it is it causes the conversations that I believe we need to have. Really, it's the you that was lying in the grass,
Mm-hmm.
connected to your purpose, what you're
Mm-hmm.
here to do. So it's a little different than your 3-year-old self just laying
Right.
on the grass. It's having access to that awareness, that aliveness, and connecting that to you feel drawn to do things
Mm-hmm.
to make the world a better place. And yet, when I use words like untamed or wild, some people do get a little scared. Some of the people that get a little scared are the people who want to keep us tame.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And sometimes it's us. Some people get incredibly excited, like they imagine a horse that has wanted to run free
Mm.
and someone opening a gate and letting them run free. And some people are ready to just take off and run free. And others, the gate opens and they just sort of like stay next to the gate and take a couple of steps and look around and relearn that that's where their power is. And they do know how to do it because it's a remembering who we truly are rather than I got to learn something else about what I'm supposed to do in the world.
Right. Yeah, it's a discovery. It's funny. Clients will come to me and be like, "Oh, can you help me figure out, my purpose?" I'm like, "No, I can't do that because it's not figure outable. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a discovery. What I can do is shine my bright, shining light on the dark recesses of your inner wisdom, because that's where the answer is. I don't have the answer for you. That's where your answer is, and
Yeah.
and what happens is they're like, so what do we got to do? I'm like, well, we got to discover who you are, like outside of roles, responsibilities, and expectations. Who are you? And that's scary for people because they're like, well, what if I don't like who I find? I'm like, I
Mm.
guarantee you're gonna love who you find. Never found a person who didn't love who finding their true self. And then, yes, it is a little bit scary to move forward as your true self, but you take it in little tiny steps. Just take it small. You start with when you recognize and repair your sense of worthiness that comes with that's hand in hand with self-discovery is like, wow, I'm enough. I'm enough regardless of, what I was told or led to believe as a little kid. I'm enough. And when we
Mhm.
know that we're enough, then it's so much less scary to make that little step into becoming untamed and being
Yeah.
like stepping forward in who you are instead of who you're not. And it's
Yeah.
scary, but it's so rewarding, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so rewarding. I've said to people a bunch of times, you are here to live out your purpose, not to figure it out.
Yeah.
And you made me think of like the weird catch-22 that we're in as you were talking, where it's like, I'm me, I meet the world tells me I should be different.
Mhm.
So, in order to belong, in order to feel like I matter, I contort myself, and then I become afraid that I'm not actually worthy, but I'm not actually showing the world the real me. It's like I'm contorting myself and then
Right.
wondering why I don't feel worthy and wondering why maybe the world doesn't think I'm worthy. When in reality, if we come out of that catch-22, if we come out of that loop and have someone like a coach, where I feel like as coaches, we mirror who the person really is,
Mhm.
and we tend to love who the person really is and see what's possible for them until they remember they are worthy and can also see what's possible for them.
Yeah, that's very well said. That's exactly right. And I love that you brought that up because when we're showing people what we think they want to see, we never will know if they love the true us because we're not showing them the true us. So
Yeah.
then you're like, well, what should I say so that they'll like me? No, so that they'll like the person you're pretending to be. Like, huh? Come again? It doesn't even make any
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also love Brene Brown, her definition of the difference between fitting in and belonging. So, fitting in requires you to change who you are, whereas belonging requires that you don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
so beautiful because do we really want to fit in or do we really want to belong and
Yeah.
belong for who we are truly?
Yeah.
And that starts first with self-acceptance of who we are. And before that, it's, who am I? How can I accept who I am if I don't know who I am? So we have to start, who am I? Why am, and not, well, I don't want to say why am I worthy, but I am worthy because there's no because after that. It's just a period. I am worthy, period. Has nothing to
Mm-hmm.
do with anything because worthiness is not earnable and it's not degradable. It just
Mm-hmm.
is. And so
Yeah.
when we get there, then we will through our own self-discovery, we will discover where we belong. And so it's so beautiful. So it's not like trying to fit in. And then we can make our
Yeah.
decisions from that point, right?
Yeah. We can be unique and belong at the same time. In fact, our true selves, we all are unique and belong. It's
Mhm.
about creating harmony with others rather than like the musical equivalent would be watching an entire musical while everyone is singing the same note all the time, one note for 2 hours, versus people singing different notes and being different and creating a harmony together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because it takes all our differences, our uniqueness together that, that's where we're complementing each other and lifting each other up. It's a very, much more beautiful way to be in the world. So
Mm-hmm.
let's address so we're giving people like the here's where it comes from. It comes from the true you. So let's just
Mm-hmm.
address that fear of discovering the true you, right? Of that, I'm sure you've heard some clients say like, well, thought leader, who am I to do this big thing? Right? Like, who
Mm-hmm.
am I to do this big thing? I'm like, well, who are you not? Because you've been entrusted with a vision by the universe. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of your duty and responsibility to make that
Mm-hmm.
happen, you know? So
Yeah.
you got to get out of your own way, right?
Yeah, I did not use the word leader for a long time, and now I think of it as an and because I called myself a reluctant leader. Like I
Mm.
was the point guard on a basketball team and the captain of a basketball team, and then before I knew it, I was coaching other people, and then I went to college and I was directing plays, and one day I decided to stop being a reluctant leader and start being courageous or untamed. And all it means is that you have a vision for something to be different. And some of us, to come back to what you said earlier, I feel it in my body when it is time for me to step forward and quote unquote lead. And sometimes what that means is I'm in a meeting with 6 other people and something needs to be said that no one else is seeing, or someone needs to speak a truth to the emperor in the room with no clothes. And I'll feel a sensation that starts in my gut and comes up my spine. And if I choke it down, that causes all that kind of pain to me. That's a moment of leadership. So leadership does not mean you got to go run for president. It shows up in a bunch of different forms, like being a leader in your own life, choosing the life that you want to create and the world that you want to help create.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing up there's more than leadership shows up in so many different ways. And so does when we're saying the word impact, right? Your impact. And, like a thought leader in the world, we think about like a thought leader moving through the world and we're like, these household names that people know. And when we say, who am I to do this big thing? Maybe you're not meant to do that big thing. Right. So,
Hmm.
yeah, maybe it's fear holding you back, or maybe it's just intuition saying, no, it's not that.
Yeah.
But we have to be open and untamed in order for us to discover the places where we're meant to be leading. And sometimes that leadership is is just limited to your family or extended family. Sometimes it's further out in your community.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's really big, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like to think that when I work with people, I am like the midwife helping them to birth the soul's calling baby that they are here to birth.
Hmm.
And for some of them, that is going and standing on a TED Talk stage and leading an entire movement with millions of people. That's their destiny, that's their calling. And for others, it's I want to host salons. Like my voice is called to host small conversations with people who might be on quote unquote opposite sides of the aisle.
Mm.
That's my calling. And that's a challenging space to hold if you think about it. It is, if you're
Yeah.
going to invite six people, three on one side, three on the other, and have a conversation, a real one. I would love for the untamed version of that person to show up and hold that space.
Mm. Yeah, that would be amazing. Um, because untamed coming, meaning being connected to that essential part of you that's connected to your higher self,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And when you're in the room that way, there's not going to, with even people on the other side of the aisle, there's not really going to be contention when you're connected to your higher self.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the untamed version of us, speaking for myself, I've been in some situations. For whatever reason, when things get chaotic, it's like my inner GPS gets stronger and clearer. And I can be sobbing one moment in a difficult experience with a group of people. And I've had moments like that, and then pick my head up with the snot still running down my nose and say, and it's all going to be even better. I know it. And
Mhm.
we're in the hard part of the transformation right now. And seeing a room full of people on Zoom nodding their head like, yes, there she is. And others looking at me like, how on earth is Miss Snotty Face knowing that it's going to emerge to something even better?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, how does someone untame their presence?
Mm. Are you looking for the like simple step that they could take to untame their presence or begin to?
Well, let's start with like in general, here's what it takes, and then we'll finish up with a simple something they can do right now.
Yeah.
Doing.
In general, it's letting go of all of the shoulds, loving and releasing all of the protective mechanisms in the body and the thoughts in the mind that are, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough energy. The body, for most of us, has adapted to keep us safe.
Mhm.
It has done a brilliant job of that. If you imagine going through high school and having to survive the bully, the body was masterful. And now we're not in that same situation. Our soul or our essential self wants to do more than just survive. It wants to live, it wants to create our impact. So it includes developing new physical habits
Mhm.
that aren't the protective posture that we had.
Right.
So it's opening up the heart, letting go of the jaw tension, and then making choices from there that our inner GPS are leading us toward.
Right. Yes. So, and I think though that all, starts with permission. Permission to be who you are and who you're, like to be who you are, period. Aligned with your purpose. Like give yourself permission. That's the first thing. And if you can't, you and I, we are giving the listener permission to do it. We've
Yes.
both done it. It's not unsafe. It's
Yeah.
it's beautiful and fulfilling, and And, like, I don't know about you, I wake up feeling alive every day. I constantly have a smile on my face. I just am like so aligned and purposeful. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm not human, that I don't, realize when I'm in that protective posture. I might be like, oh, look at, you're all kind of tense up right now. And it's probably something subconscious that hasn't come forward yet, because if it comes forward, I'm on it,
Yeah.
But recognizing, wow, my body keeps wanting to get into this protective mode.
Hmm.
But just that noticing without judgment, without criticizing, is really important. And I love that you use the word open. Just being
Hmm.
open. What
Hmm.
if I'm willing to? So that's usually a good way to start. I'll give myself permission to,
Yeah.
those are tiny little baby steps into this movement. And recognizing, with people like me and you, has there ever been anybody ever anywhere who, has, allowed themselves to become untamed and come home to themselves? And then the answer is yes. And then you can see who they are. You're like, yeah, I think I do want some of that. And even if you
Yeah.
can't see how, that doesn't mean it's not correct. Because, think about it. I'm in, the Buffalo, New York area. If I'm going to drive to California, there's only so far that's going to be familiar when I get in my car. After a
Hmm.
while, I'm going to be like, I've never been on this road before. I don't know this road, but I'm going to trust my GPS is going to get me there. So
Yeah.
here I am, in the middle of some state I've never been in before. I'm like, well, GPS says go this way. And that's really what it is, to be connected to that presence of who you are and trust that GPS. You don't need to, it doesn't need to be familiar. You can trust it.
Yeah. I love that metaphor. And I love like, I'm picturing you and I getting up and feeling infused with purpose, and then the permission slip idea. And for someone listening, it might be, well, if you're waking up right now and you're not feeling infused with purpose, what if you give yourself the permission every single morning to follow what lights you up, to follow what you love, like almost like a living meditation? Like, we wander as humans and then we come back to, like, oh, permission slip. My body just tightened. Oh, I just started thinking there's a way that I should do this. Nope, permission slip. How do I feel drawn to do this?
Yeah, yeah. I've heard a sentence that is kind of a good go by feel. It's related to go by feel. And it's, like, what would love do? Where would love, what would love do? Like, because
Hmm.
we are love. I am love, so what would
Hmm.
love do in this moment?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually at a conference, I had like a little booth up, and I had permission slips. I was big, like, permission to, and then it was one of those, they were all cut at the bottom, and you could pick which one felt like, oh yeah, I need permission to do that, permission to do this. So it was one of those, like, like it would, like, tear your thing off. It was hilarious. People loved it. They're like, oh my God, I do need permission. Yeah. Just
Yeah,
give
that's
ourselves
awesome.
permission, because when we are that, when we come home to our true essence, that is our best self. It's not about fixing and doing. It's about opening and undoing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Okay, so what would be like, okay, so a listener is listening to this and they're like, wow, that would be nice. Yeah, but it feels big, right? Yeah, but,
Hmm.
right? Like, connecting with Lauri, connecting with Linda, like, whoo, I'm not sure I'm ready to take that big step, as wonderful as it sounds. What if we could leave them with this very small, very doable step right now, before you listen to the next podcast episode, listener, which hopefully is Conversations Worth Your While, or Lauri's Untamed Leader podcast. Um, what's something really small someone could do to set in motion that tiny, tiny baby step that is safe enough and small enough to actually do to untame?
Yeah. It's setting an intention for what you do want to create in important moments in your life, or you could do this every single day. Instead of, when we don't take the time to set that intention for what we want to create,
Hmm.
all our protectors and inner critics and soul suckers, they end up setting the intention for what we want to avoid, that
Right.
protection, defension, hide, stay safe. So if I'm about to go have an important conversation with someone in my life and I don't set the intention for what I want to create, I might be doing something like, I hope I don't upset her. I hope I don't screw this up, rather
Ah,
than I want to create more trust. I want to create more connection. I want to bring more aliveness into this conversation.
beautiful. I love that. And I'm going to piggyback on that. First of all, that hope, I never did it, but I meant to write a blog about 17 years ago called Hope is a Four-Letter Word because it has built-in doubt. So I do not like that. I like
Mm-hmm.
belief, you know, and because hope has that energetic alignment of doubt right in it. I hope, right? So I'm just not about the hope at all. And also the negative, right? I hope I don't. I hope this doesn't get messed up. I hope, whatever. That negative, it just vibrates in the wrong way. And it's counter to our essence and our soul, which feels light and pulled and drawn instead of like, ugh, right? So I absolutely love that you brought that up, this intention. And I have a little something that I share with my clients about in addition to an intention for a conversation that maybe they're like, yeah, I'm not really looking forward to it. I'll ask them, how do you want to feel when you're all done after it? How would you love to feel? I don't even use the word want because want signals lack. So I'm going to say love. How would you love to feel when the conversation's all done? I'd love to feel at ease, peaceful. I'd love to be proud of myself. I feel like I did a good job, right? I'm like, okay, great. Before the conversation, I'd like you to invoke that feeling of peace. Invoke it and then say, okay, come on, I'm wearing put it on your bubble jacket, your coat, whatever. Like, oh, I'm wearing peace into this meeting. And you bring it in with you and you stay in that peace while you're having the meeting. And what you'll be drawn to say, what will come to you and how you will show up will be, wrapped in that peace. And
Mm-hmm.
it will inform that meeting and you will come out feeling peaceful. It's the coolest little tool. So
I
that's
love it.
great that we could just leave our listeners with something small that they can do right now. So imagine what your intention is, be intentional and pick a positive intention and then imagine how that would feel and invoke that emotion right now. We have the power to invoke emotions in the moment. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great little turtle steps. Love that. Well, Lauri, thank you so much. This has been such a beautiful conversation. I really appreciate you sharing your insights and expertise with us. Now, do you have anything that you can share with our audience?
I do. I have a quiz that's been called Fun and Deep with a Side of Wacky Fun, the Speaker Alter Ego Quiz. It helps reveal the top mask that tends to dim our radiance. And the masks are like leftover versions of what we were told we needed to be in the world that tend to rear their heads, especially when our voice is involved.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, you gave me that link, and I will put the link for that quiz right into the show notes. Alrighty?
Fantastic.
Okay,
Wonderful.
beautiful. Awesome. Well, that is our show. I am Linda Bucher, guiding people to know their worth, to reconnect to their gifts, and create lives that are fully aligned and deeply impactful. And if you're sensing it's time to bring your life into deeper alignment, you can explore what that looks like at lindabucher.com, where you'll find direction and clarity. And you can even get in a 30-minute call with me. It's not a sales call, just chat and get some clarity. And if today's episode sparked something for you, like it. And then don't forget to share it with someone who might need it. And then subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And join me next week for another expansive, uplifting conversation designed to support you as you expand in this world. So until next time, make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.